ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Midday Market Report for Monday, oh my goodness, May 20th, 2024. You survived another weekend, the last full week of May. Unbelievable. Next week will be June. Holy cow, June. What are we talking about? Stanley Cup. NBA Finals. No joker, no defending champ for the sixth straight year. The champion will not be in the finals. Hell of an effort by the Ant Farm, and we're off. But hey, we live to tell another story tonight. Game 7. Oilers, Canucks, who you got? ECSI VIP is sitting on the Oilers plus 160. What do we do? Do we hedge? Do we guarantee ourselves at least a half unit? I don't know. But we do know this. We do know someone, Mr. Hockey, Mr. Peter Puck himself. Andrew McInnis will give us all the insights on his thoughts on that. And, of course, the Rangers and Panthers. But first and foremost, a shout-out to our proud partner and sponsorship, WagerWire. Please, if you have not, head on over to Google Play, download the app. It's free. We'll take over from there. So without further ado, the one and the only, the star of the show, Mr. Andrew McInnis. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I'd say, Jeff, you were the star of the weekend with all the golf picks you made. I've got to say, I appreciate it. I appreciate you putting some money in my pocket, and I plan on following along now with the golf. So I have to thank you on air for, what a position we were in. I'm not a huge golf guy, but when you're watching on Sunday and you're pretty much only cheering against one or two guys, you're feeling pretty good. And Jeff, I'm feeling pretty good about something else as well. June 6th. Write it down, mark it down on your calendars. That is the first game, opening kickoff of the CFL 2024 season. When one door closes and another one is ready to open, the CFL season is almost here.
Well, I will say June 6th is also game number 1, NBA Finals. Yes, I am at the Boston Garden. The ice is there. There'll be no ice there. Most of the locals are expecting the Boston Celtics, who I've seen minus 1,200 against the Pacers. The list is endless of the players that they did not have to meet in this series to get to the Eastern Conference Finals and then hopefully the NBA Finals. But we will see. They are so super stoked for the Moose and CFL, our third year. Maybe we can get 3 Grey Cup champions in a row here at ECSI. Going back to the golf, in our 9-year history, we did have the Masters. We had a 2-unit play on Scheffler pre-flop. Every Wednesday at 5 o'clock, we have Brady Kannon here talking golf. But in our history, I've never hit the superfecta. Xander Schauffele, 14-1 pre-flop. But we had the top 4, and we had more meat on the bone. Bryson DeChambeau, 27-1. Colin Morikawa, 30-1. And the one everyone was rooting for, Mr. Victor Hovland at 47-1. And he teased us with a one-shot lead in the back 9, Andrew.
Hovland was the one I was cheering for the most. I mean, the pace of his putts is what really bothered me, Jeff. You see DeChambeau when he puts as if it's either going to go in the hole or going to go 10 feet past the hole. And Hovland was just tapping it. He was just tapping it. I mean, he needed some pace, and I feel like he had the right read. He was reading the break properly every time, but he didn't have enough pace on them all. So it would go just close to the hole and then break off. I think it was 3 missed birdie putts in a row. And for a guy like Morikawa, I think Morikawa is a guy we have to realize might just be like a guy we bet to finish top 10 or top 5. He just doesn't really, I'm not saying he's not clutch, but he's just like that even keel, doesn't get upset, doesn't get too hot or too cold. I think he just was Mr. Par. The guy couldn't get a birdie to save his life, but he was just parred the whole course pretty much, which when it comes down to Sunday, you got to have some birdies. You got to mix in some, you got to take you got to take lead a little bit, try and advance yourself. He just stayed exactly where he was pretty much at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, Colin was one that we had at the Masters, as well as a few others. And of course, the winner, Mr. Scheffler. Colin, like Mr. Oberg on 11, hit it in the drink. Thanks for playing. But Colin has not been in form. He got into form when he got to Augusta, as he took that trip down Magnolia Lane. And then the same thing happened where, again, he put himself in position. He was right there, the final pair. And like us going out there to play golf, you get in position. He just couldn't make a putt. He had birdie putts on almost every hole. He just couldn't make a putt to save his life until the 18th hole. And as you were commenting, as your board dog, Morikawa is that one guy. That's what Xander's been for his whole career. He's been touted as the guy that just can't close the deal, can't win the big one. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He won the gold in 2020. Now it's a 2024. It's another gold medal year for him, potentially. Finally got the monkey off his back and won the major. For us, Simulator had him at 14-1. The odds at the sportsbook were 14-1. It was a home run. And if you remember Wednesday night when we sent the alert out, the top guy, Xander Schauffele, X marks the spot. And on Saturday, as Lowry was going through his historic run, almost shot a 61, he sunk a putt to tie Xander. And they were at different holes. And then Xander had like a 22-footer. And the commentator even said, Lowry now tied for the lead at the PGA. And then Xander, 5 seconds later, sinks the putt. And he goes, well, not for that long, at least. Right then, I was like, Xander's going to get this done. But again, Bryson DeChambeau, a hell of a day. Victor, it was a great tournament, and I've never been a part of a tournament. As you said, we had no access. We had nothing on Thagala. We had nothing on Lowry, and we had nothing on Rosie. But just to sit there and like, okay, are we going to get the 14-1, the 25-1, the 30-1, or shit, 47-1? Let's go. But it was a great, great tournament, Andrew.
I mean, it's a pretty blessed feeling. And as you said in the write-up that you sent out to all the VIPs there, you can't have everybody. You can't have everybody, because then it doesn't really become as cool of a look anymore. If you send out 13 golfers, then, it's not as cool of a prize. But if you got 6 or 7, then, you're right there. So a great weekend. And for everybody out there, you've got, you're playing with house money for the next several golf tournaments. And if you like watching golf, and if you're a recreational bettor, if you're someone that takes it very serious, whether you're one or the other, you're playing with house money after a couple of great ones, and the first round leader, the top 5s and top 6. That's the thing. It's obviously bankroll management, as you do a great job, Jeff, as instructing everybody about. It's so important. However, with golf, if someone saw your picks and didn't want to play them outright, or they wanted to play top 5 or top 10, pretty much all of those guys came top 10 or top 5. So either way, you're getting like Victor Hovland. He was plus 400 to come like top 10 or top 9 or 10. So, I mean, even alone, just to come top 10, you can get some really good prices. So, yeah, thanks again, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, we love what we do now. Only if we could figure out that thing called baseball, we'd all be smiling. But that's for another show. Anyways, lot to talk about tonight. Short window. You're a busy man. You're heading off to another job after this. Another great opportunity where I couldn't be prouder for you guys there locally. Game 7, Edmonton, Vancouver. The power play clicked a little. The 5-on-5s clicked. Everything clicked for Edmonton. Now they got to do something. Go to Vancouver, where they're a pretty big favorite here. Thoughts on Game 6? What you saw from Edmonton? What you didn't see from the Canucks? And initial thoughts and before we break down Game 7 here.
Well, initial thoughts were this Vancouver team. It seems like they either have a fantastic game or a not so great game. But even with that being said, Jeff, before the last game they played, Game 6, before that 5-1 loss, the Vancouver Canucks had played in 9 straight 1-goal games. Usually, I'm the kind of person that's against the +1.5 wager in NHL and MLB. But if you were someone throughout this postseason betting the +1.5 in the Canucks games, in victory or defeat, this team was hanging around. I mean, it was great. Every game, and of course, I think they're the playoff leaders in overtime games, which that, of course, plays a factor with the 1-goal games there. But to me, there's the 2 biggest factors that stick out. And of course, they both benefit the Oilers here. Number 1, 15 shots on goal for the Canucks. It's hard for anybody to blame goaltending or anything like that or defense towards the Canucks when the Canucks only got 15 shots themselves. Of course, they allowed five goals, but you only get 15 shots. You're not going to win a game with 15 shots against the Edmonton Oilers. Number 2, a guy named Connor didn't score, and a guy named Leon didn't score, Jeff, in Game 6, win or go home. That was the game for the Oilers to stay alive for people at home. That was the game they had to advance to Game 7. All 4 matchups in the playoffs, West and East, a team was down 3-1. And the fact that McDavid or Draisaitl both didn't score and they come out on top, if you're an Oilers fan, an Oilers coach, you have to be licking your chops right now, because I'll tell you what, one of those guys will score tonight. Holloway, Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins, and Kane, those guys being the scorers, I think that's a very, very good sign for the Oilers.
I talked about it on our shows. Every Monday we've been here. Every Friday we've been on your channel at Wager Talk, at McInnis Picks. I talked about the Bruins. I talked about McAvoy. He was just a shell of himself. Now jump back into the Oilers here. Weeksy and the commentators, Booch, everyone thinks something's wrong with McDavid. Not that he's not the world's fastest skater out there, but he's not shooting. Are you thinking there might be something wrong with McDavid?
I heard the same thing. I saw the same thing online, that there's something going on with him. He might be dealing with something, but everybody's dealing with something. And the thing is, it always ends up being the star players because of how they play, right? They're so fast. They're constantly moving laterally. They're constantly dealing with injuries. And that's part of the reason, Jeff, that I think that Leon has had more success in the postseason than Connor. You look at all the playoff runs they've made when they've both played on the Oilers together, McDavid hasn't been the better player. Leon is the leading scorer right now in the playoffs, not McDavid. And you look at actually how much he's carried the team. He's got 24 points. The next closest guy out of every team remaining right now is at 21 or 20 points this postseason. So he's really carried the load. You're right. I think something's definitely bothering him. And we'll see if that affects. That's the thing about Florida. I mean, I know we're here to talk about the game tonight, but Florida, maybe Kachuk's a bit hurt, but not as bad as last year. They're looking healthy as can be. And same thing for New York. But let's not forget, Florida limped into the Stanley Cup finals last year. Even in the conference finals, they were hurt. Brad Marchand's quote was just perfect. He said, hey, look, and I think he had to be classy because he knows he's always on the other end of it too. He goes, look, we're out there trying to hurt each other sometimes. We're out there taking cheap shots, trying to hit each other. He goes, who am I to say what he did wrong? And it's true. Sometimes it's about being the healthier team. As a Raptors fan, I think back to the championship the Raptors won. Kevin Durant was out. Do you think as a Raptors fan now, I'm just going to be like, oh, it doesn't count? It still counts. They still won the championship, but you're right. It's all about staying healthy. So I'm sure you agree with me how important it really is for the depth to step up and help out the Oilers.
And hockey's that one sport after the final siren has gone and a team in defeat. What I love is after a seven game series, an absolute bloodbath, that these two teams can meet at center ice, hug it out, shake it out, shake it out, and tell each other, "Hey, great series, congrats, move on, good luck." And I always look for the medical report the next day or the day after. For the Bruins, it's always a mile long, like any other team, after the 82 games regular season, and you just compounded it with another 10 or 12 games. So you're literally in the 90, 95s. These guys will be well into the hundreds after the finals and then the Stanley Cup. Played with this injury, going in for surgery here, going in here. You talk about these two teams tonight. Okay. And I haven't even got to the Stars that are just sitting there waiting for the winner here. My overnight number had Edmonton minus 140, the Canucks plus 120, a 6 over minus 15 cents. Currently at our good friends at the Circa. Shout out to Jeffrey Benson, Mr. Metcalf, and of course, Derek Stevens, the best in the business. Edmonton minus 154, Canucks plus 140. And of course, it is now down to a 5.5 over minus 15 cents. I went back to game 6, sent out to the ECSI VIPs. Guys, if you like Edmonton tonight, that means game 6. Don't lay the minus 200, the minus 220. Don't do the regulation play. Don't do the puck line. Take them right now at the plus, what was it back then? It was plus 160 to win the series. So now we're sitting here with the Edmonton Oilers plus 160 to win the series. We can tiptoe back over to Vancouver as we speak, plus 140, guarantee ourselves 40 or 60 cents. It doesn't matter who wins and just enjoy the game. What do you see tonight going on, Andrew?
Well, a lot of what I was saying going into Saturday's game was I thought the Oilers were going to go back to being themselves. You have to be yourself and be what got you to a certain situation, Jeff. And although there were times in the season, we saw the Oilers win 2-1. We saw them win 3-2. We saw them play a defensive game. But I think you and I both know who this team really is at their core, and they're a fast-paced, high-scoring team. That's the type of game that they had to play last game. Their speed overwhelmed the Canucks. The depth players showed up, and they were able to put goals on the board. I couldn't stress this anymore, how much of, I think, a correlated parlay these games are. This game is tonight. Canucks and the under, Oilers and the over, especially now with it moving from a 6 down to a 5.5, especially with guys like Evander Kane, who I'm betting tonight to get a point, plus 105. He has a point in 4 of his last 5 games. I just think the supporting cast is really stepping up. I'll remind people at home, the power plays for both teams combined last game, 0 for 7. And yet we still saw 6 goals combined in that game. If we even got 1 or 2 power play goals in that one, that game is reaching 7 or 8 goals. And now we're seeing a 5.5. And what's the reason we're seeing a 5.5? Well, a lot of it is because it's game 7. It's always tighter. It's always more safe. Teams are scared to make mistakes. You don't want to be the team that messes up. But of course, we have seen a few games that are low scoring in this series. Jeff, I think that it's fair to say, number one, that what you said in your alert couldn't be more accurate, that people should have gotten behind the Oilers. And you can kind of figure out how you want to do it, especially if you're in the game of just securing yourself some profit because of how the odds are working out right now. But I think it's fair to say the price was not accurate at the start of this playoffs, this series. Maybe it's all to do with liability. Odds makers knew people would be willing to pay a premium to get on the Oilers, so that could be true. But hats off, I tip my hat to the Canucks. But with 15 shots in the last game, the thing is that people will always tell you in sports betting, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say about this. People always say to you, don't worry just about last game. You can't be a recency bias. You know, you can't base your handicap on one game based on the previous. But when 9 straight games you play in the playoffs are 1-goal games, 9 straight, almost double digits in the postseason, and then you have one game where you just get your butts kicked and neither Connor or Leon score, to me, that's kind of a problem. They had 15 shots on goal. Look, like a lot of people seem to be tonight, I like the favorite, Jeff, but you know where we'd have to go. Plus 125 for them to get to 4 goals. That has to be the move. And you know, we're seeing the 5.5 shift down there. I think if the Oilers win this one, they get 4. I think still if the Canucks win this one, they'd probably get 3 or 4 goals here. The team total is where I'm looking for the Oilers. I do like the over 5.5 here. I might put an insurance feeler out there, just a small play on the over 5.5, but I'm not buying this game will be a chess match and 2-1 and, you know, first team to 3 wins. I'm really not. I think this game could have some goals here.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the teams remaining, the Florida Panthers and Bob, the Rangers and Shesterkin, the Stars and Ottinger. Well, you don't have none of those 3 playing tonight. And again, I know what game 7s usually are in the NHL. They are that chess match. The first 1 to 3 wins. This is 3-2, 3-1, empty netter. But again, if the Oilers take that offense that they had on game 6 and their stars start to score, then that sense of urgency from Vancouver comes, and then you can feel that added pressure. You know, you blink and it's 2-0 Oilers, and that crowd and Gabe Morency is going to be a lot quieter than it is if it flips right there. Winner of this takes on the Almighty Stars. If I am correct here, Stars have the home ice. Stars will be favored. Do you think after this long 7-game series, either one of these will beat the Stars, or you think it doesn't matter? The Stars will come out and they'll be the West champs.
The Stars seem to be the team of destiny. They really do. Let's just for the sake of it, say the Oilers do win tonight. I think it's, again, the key thing I keep on saying, it's all about the depth. You hear me say it all the time. The first line gets you there. The second and third line wins you the cup. Right now, Dallas just has that feel to them. You know, you look at every team that's won, Vegas winning when they got the job done, you know, it was because of the depth that they've had over the last few years. Looking at some of these teams that have raised the Stanley Cup, it's because they've had guys that are on the third and fourth line that can put points on the board. And when I think of Wyatt Johnston starting the playoffs, Jeff, as a plus 130 or 135 to get a point, that player now is up to minus 150 or 60 each game to record a point. I mean, if we're just going to be simply numbers people, you don't even have to know who the guy is for us to know he's having a great playoffs, because, you know, I wish almost that you could look at what a guy was before and what he was now, because that could almost help you realize, really, okay, he's had a point, but what was his point prop at that point? My point here is I think Dallas is the deeper team, and I would recommend to the audience that before you do anything today in this game, I think that collectively all of us, especially if you haven't bet on Dallas to win the cup, which hopefully everybody watching has, plus 425 Ottinger to win the Conn Smythe. I'm looking right now at DraftKings. Plus 205 is Dallas to win the Stanley Cup, and plus 425 Ottinger to win the entire thing. So to me, that's the best bet. And at Bet365, they're actually giving you props on what position will the player be that wins the Conn Smythe. And I saw plus 125 on goalie, and I punched that one in last night, Jeff.
Well, it's funny. I think it was about 8-9 days ago. I said, hey, you better take a look at this. Ottinger was plus 600 to win the Conn Smythe. And then I said the other one that stuck out was Wyatt Johnson, and he was plus 1,100, or I think it was 1,100, which is soon dropped. What do you have right now on DraftKings for Johnson?
He's 12.
He's 12 to 1.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Shesterkin took a lot of money. People are just thinking either way it's going to be a goalie. It sounds like right now the books think we're going to get a Dallas-New York finals, and they want some Florida money. Opening number I thought was a bit fishy. New York fans were up in hell about the number they had against the Hurricanes, and now they're getting a really good number again. They seem like a team of destiny, but again, I think a lot of that has to do with Shesterkin. No disrespect to Carolina, because you and I both liked Carolina going through the season. And look, I can only – people already think I'm an absolute Rangers hater anyway, so anything I say, they're just going to keep saying things. Okay. But let's be honest here. The Celtics behind you and the New York Rangers, those two teams in their respected sports probably had the softest schedules to get to where they are right now. We can probably agree on that. Carolina didn't play well. They had the choke job in Game 6. They fall down 3-1. They don't play very well. And then New York played, Washington in the first round. So that was a breeze. Good for Washington for making the playoffs. I think Detroit or Pittsburgh would have put up a better fight. And then you've got your Celtics playing the Heat, who are a bunch of close friends that just tried to pull off a miracle again. No Jimmy Butler, thanks for playing. And then, of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers with no Mitchell. I mean, I think that both these teams are pretty comparable here. The only difference is the Celtics are like plus 120 to win the whole NBA championship. But I think that I'll say this: I won't see you till Friday. Sneak peek for your viewers: I'm betting the team total over for the Rangers in Game 1, either the over or the team total over for the Rangers. I think that this Florida team, with the layoff that they've had, I think that we're going to see the same thing happen in the previous series where they start the series off with a bang. The first game went over Carolina and Florida. I think the first game won Rangers and Panthers go over once again.
And if I remember correctly, I think Carolina was actually minus 160 to beat the Rangers in that series. I saw an opening number of Panthers minus 115 to start, even though Shesterkin and the Rangers have the home ice advantage there. Again, I keep going back to our pre-flop in October. Canes and Rangers, Eastern Conference champs and Cup champs. We got some mid-season Stars, Western Conference champs, and Stanley Cup champs. And as the tournament was going on, I needed some exposure. And we added the Oilers at 4-1 and actually plus 425. And we have the Panthers at plus 450. I think the playoffs are going to be great. I think the Stars come out of the West. Again, I don't know what when you got them pre-flop, I don't know. I haven't been back in the Rangers. I think they're a great story. And hats off to Dallas. Dallas Stars and, of course, the Dallas Mavericks, both in the finals. Both could be in the championship. So I think it's going to be a hell of a run. Florida with the rest. I mean, Barkov has looked amazing. Kachuk has been quiet, which is scary. So look out there. And it's going to probably come down to which goalie steals the show. Both can do it. We know Shesterkin and, of course, Bob. So obviously, we're super, super stoked. Crawler's been going the whole time, Andrew. Obviously, they know they can find you on X or Twitter at McInnis Picks. All your work on Wager Talk and, of course, Mayflower Sports. But as we always do to close, I send it back to you. The start of the week, the last full week in May. Tell everyone what you got to offer over at Wager Talk.
I always appreciate the platform, Jeff. Love being here with you, starting the week and ending the week, working together. Guys, it's the last week for my special. With the NHL and the CFL, you can get my CFL season $2.99, which is the early bird special. It's a great price for a league that, as Jeff knows, it's very long. You got 21 weeks in that league. So long. Jeff's a big Elks fan, making some money on that team, plus the points. But I can't wait to get into it. So if you guys want to join me, 3 straight winning seasons. Last year, full transparency, we were only up about like 1.5 units, but a win is a win, and we're on a huge run with the 5-star plays, 10-2 dating back the last 2 years combined with the 5-star plays. So we'll try and keep that going. So reach out to me on X or check us out at wagertalk.com, wt.buzz/AM. And you get my CFL plays for the full season, as well as the remainder of my NHL plays for the rest of the postseason. So I can't wait.
4:30, 4:45-ish, myself and Riley Magnuson will be here for the closing bell. And at 7 o'clock tonight, guys, turn on your notifications. Brady Tinker, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys for decades, Dallas Stars, good friends with Mark Cuban, Jordan Spieth. We're going to talk the Lone Star State and the success the Mavericks are having and the Stars are having. And Brady will also add his 2 cents about the Cowboys as well. So always a treat. Turn them on there. We will see you soon. And of course, a shout out to the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis. Go follow him at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk, and we will see you soon.